What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to talk about a topic that's been floating around a little bit, and there's been a lot of rumors surrounding this. With Modern Warfare 3, there's a possibility that DMZ won't exist anymore. They may be scrapping the mode entirely. And I just wanted to share my thoughts on this, go over some of the details, especially now that we've got more zombies details. And then I wanted to share my thoughts on whether or not I think this is actually going to be the case toward the end of the video. And diving right in, the first big thing to mention here is so far there hasn't been a single mention of DMZ in any of the marketing or blog posts that they've had regarding Modern Warfare 3 or the future of Warzone as well. They have talked about campaign, multiplayer, zombies, and they've at least mentioned Warzone several times, although we don't really have any details regarding Warzone at this stage. They've at least mentioned that we are going to be seeing the future of Warzone at Call of Duty Next, for instance. However, not a single word on DMZ at this stage. Additionally, just recently, we got more information and the reveal of zombies with that cinematic. And with the blog post on this, the new zombies is starting to look a lot like DMZ in many ways. And of course, this is leading to a lot of rumors that DMZ is going to be replaced by zombies. And let's just look at some of the similarities that we can see between this new zombies experience and DMZ based on what we know from the blog post. This is all coming from an official source here. The new zombies is going to be an open world environment. It's going to be shared with other squads, which means it sounds like there's going to be multiple squads in a match at once. They described it as an extraction survival experience. They mentioned there's going to be a number of special story missions, so not just a main quest that you follow, alongside unique elements and challenges. And another thing to point out that we may be reading into a little too much, in one of the blog posts they mentioned it's called Modern Warfare Zombies, and then in brackets they specifically stated MWZ, which sounds a whole lot like DMZ, so some people were jumping on that and saying, see, it's not DMZ anymore, it's now MWZ. So while there's definitely a lot of similarities here, and I can see how this adds fuel to the fire of the rumors that DMZ won't be existing in Modern Warfare 3, and instead it's going to be replaced by this new zombies experience, which is going to be very similar to DMZ, at least in many ways, there are a couple very key differences here. The first one is zombies was stated as PvE. Not PvPvE like DMZ, where you can also fight against multiple squads. It looks like it's going to be a purely PvE environment, where the only thing that can hurt you is going to be AI. You can't be killed by enemy squads. So that is the first big difference. And then the second huge difference here is zombies is going to be part of Modern Warfare 3, the paid experience, whereas DMZ is part of Warzone, which is the free experience with the game. And therefore that immediately makes this zombies mode a lot less accessible than DMZ has been. And that's been one of the big selling points of DMZ, is the fact that it is accessible to anybody. It's a free-to-play experience. Now, in saying that, even with the accessibility of DMZ, a big question to ask as to whether or not they're going to be keeping it around is, was DMZ successful? Because obviously, if it was highly successful, they'll probably want to keep up that momentum and keep it around for multiple years. Whereas if it was unsuccessful relative to the amount of time and effort that goes into it, and relative to what you would expect with a Call of Duty experience, perhaps that means they will end up scrapping it. And with this, unfortunately, without seeing the actual metrics and the player counts for everything, we are left to a fair amount of speculation, as well as using imperfect metrics to determine how successful DMZ has been. Based on what I've seen at least, it seems like DMZ has developed a very dedicated fan base. I don't know how large that fan base is, but the people that are into DMZ really seem to be into it and really seem to enjoy it. However, I don't really see a ton of talk about the mode in the community, compared to Warzone or multiplayer. Although that could just be due to the more casual nature of DMZ. Maybe there's just less to talk about, or maybe the types of players that DMZ attracts, they tend to be a more casual audience that doesn't go online to talk about the game. They just hop on and play the game. It could be that, or it could also just be a sign of a low relative player count. Another metric we can kind of see in the community, again, this is not a perfect metric by any means, but if we just look at the different subreddits, we have a subreddit for Modern Warfare 2, Warzone, as well as DMZ, and if we look at the number of members in each of these communities, the Modern Warfare 2 subreddit has 2.6 million members, the Warzone subreddit has 1.4 million members, and the DMZ subreddit has 69,000 members, so significantly less than the other two. But in saying that, Modern Warfare 2 subreddit, that encompasses kind of the whole game, even though it's not really meant for Warzone discussion. It's much more likely that that one's going to have the majority of the followers, because that's the game that people are playing. Many people don't even know the DMZ subreddit exists. And on the Warzone side of things, of course, Warzone is an established mode that's been around for a while, so obviously it's going to have way more members than the DMZ Reddit. So while I have my doubts that this is a very good way of determining how successful DMZ has been, I think it still is a metric that we can look at. And while I'd never expect the DMZ subreddit to like completely eclipse the other subreddits, I think if the mode was highly successful in terms of Call of Duty success, again, everything is relative here, I think that subreddit would probably be noticeably larger than it currently is. So perhaps this is at least a bit of an indication of how successful DMZ was, and if it is, maybe DMZ isn't really worth all of the resources and effort that goes into it, if this is how little relative interest we're seeing compared to the other modes. So really, this is where we're at right now with everything. As for my thoughts on this and whether or not I think DMZ is actually going to be scrapped for Modern Warfare 3, I could honestly see this going either way. However, I am leaning in the direction of them likely keeping DMZ around going forward. And the main reason for this is just due to the fact that, at least as far as we're aware right now, Zombies is going to be attached to the full game of Modern Warfare 3, and it's not going to be a free-to-play experience. If Zombies was confirmed to be free-to-play, I would probably be leaning in the other direction, thinking DMZ is going to be scrapped and replaced with this new style of Zombies. But with that not being the case, as far as we know at least at this stage, I think DMZ will still exist. However, if that does happen, I doubt it's going to get a ton of attention or support. If they had really big plans for DMZ and they were planning on supporting it really heavily throughout the next year, then you would think that at the very least there would be a mention of DMZ somewhere in their marketing or blog posts at this stage, just to get people really thinking about it and talking about it, maybe getting hyped about it. But at this stage, like I've been saying, for all of the marketing of Modern Warfare 3, there hasn't been a single mention of the DMZ mode. So while I still think it's going to exist going forward throughout the life cycle of Modern Warfare 3, I don't think they're going to be revolutionizing anything with the mode. I don't think we're going to be seeing any really massive changes to the mode itself and how it's structured, but I am leaning in the direction of the mode still existing going forward. Now, I could just as easily be wrong on this. My guess is as good as yours at this point, but that's just the direction I'm currently leaning in. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts based on all of the information that we have so far, and this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. First up, what side are you leaning on? Do you think DMZ is going to be scrapped, or do you think they're going to be keeping it around for the life cycle of Modern Warfare 3? And also, what would your thoughts be on them completely replacing DMZ with this new style of Zombies experience that would kind of merge DMZ gameplay with Zombies gameplay, so there's a little bit of a mix of both? Do you think that could be a good experience, or is that something you wouldn't be interested in at all? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.